Here. All right, today is December 10, 2025, boys and girls. Glad to see you again. Thank you for carrying on. I can sleep, I can stand. It hurts like hell when exercising, but I'm going to live. So thank God for modern medicine and the like. And big basketball game tonight, LCLN tonight. So over at LC. So there you go. We have presentation from our friends from OYO going on tonight. And real quick, take a look at the minutes. Are there any additions, subtractions, or anything? Let us know. If not, I'd entertain a motion to accept.
You know, one thing,
Yes.
the city, the way I understand it, the city's not gonna purchase the track. They're gonna lease it if that's what's gonna happen. The redevelopment committee, they talked to the redevelopment commission about leasing that from the state.
Yes,
Is that correct?
So it's going to be a bought,
yes,
field, operate, transfer.
yes.
Want to know about those? I can give you a good lecture
I
on
wanna
it.
talk about that a little more later
Okay.
on, but
I can give you a good lecture on it.
So that needs to be changed to lease?
Yeah,
Mhm.
lease.
More and more cities do that with parking garages and the like.
Yeah, so
Will there be some additional conversation on the new business with the fundraiser with Rochelle Carey?
Yeah, why don't we do that when we get to new business? Okay, just feel free to chime in, no problem.
yeah, I would move to accept the minutes with that one
Is there a second?
change.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Couple things here. Shout out to the Parks Department, all the departments in the city. Jamie, you screwed up in reverse again. You get to do, I say that a lot, but you get to do the 4th of July, criminy. You get to do the holiday tree lighting again next year. Well attended, very good job. That's a new tree. Tree looks very nice and the like, so good job all the way around. Eric, I know I'm just going to ask the question, but update everybody, and thank you, council. Where are we at with our monies and projects from the council?
The playground equipment was delivered on Monday, so we have it in hand, and as soon as weather cooperates, we'll start that construction process. We've got the swings, and so everything, again, the council, everything that the council appropriated has been purchased and on hand.
Okay. And the connecting trail or pathways out at OYO?
Are completed, yeah.
Okay, got it. And the swings?
They're in hand. We haven't put those out
Okay.
yet, but we do have them in stock.
And just for everybody's note, this department, engages with the street and utilities. We have, Eric, just refresh the board and the council folks. What's our responsibility on snow days?
Well, we maintain all the sidewalks at this building, of course, all of our park locations, the police department, the OC over utilities, fire department actually takes care of their own. Oh, and the shooting range at the police department shooting range. So we do all that, and then plus all the parking lots, government center, shooting range. Police department usually takes care of themselves, or the street department
They
does that.
should. They got a bunch of healthy guys over there.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, not to put a pooper on the party here, are we maintaining and cleaning our trails?
We're under the same idea that anything 2 inches or more, we try to get out and clean. So,
Because I know as the Fall Creek Next Level Trail heads toward fruition, and something's going to happen with that in the near future. Believe me, there will be a clamor to make sure that trail's clean.
yeah. Looking at the Indianapolis protocol, they do not do anything on their trails at all.
Okay.
But we're under the assumption that we should do something 2 inches or more. So,
Okay. Got
And
it.
we can, most of it we can do mechanically with one of our plow trucks.
Okay,
Then we can do the intersections and the smaller areas with our little push-behind unit, so.
okay.
Mr. President,
Go ahead.
so do we clean the streets at 2 inches or more? Is that right?
Street department, yes, yeah. So we go out after we get our things done, so usually utilities, streets do the mains, of course, and do all the salting. Then utilities come in on the kind of the second phase and do neighborhoods, and then, of course, if it's still snowing, then they'll do mains also. So we help with the neighborhoods.
Do we clean all the streets in Lawrence, or does Indianapolis clean the ones that the streets that are technically
No,
Indianapolis?
Lawrence does everything.
Yeah,
We clean
like
everything?
Yes.
the thoroughfare at 79th Street.
Yeah, no,
We'll put a blade down on 56th Street.
We get blamed for a lot of things that
Oh, gotcha.
are Indianapolis problems.
Yeah.
no, we do every street in Lawrence.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yep. Any other questions?
But, yeah, I'm.
Go ahead.
The track and amphitheater idea.
Uh-huh.
Do we know any more about that?
From my understanding, just speaking to the mayor this afternoon, there are, I guess it was some environmental
Yeah.
core samples they did, and everything came back fine. So the next phase is to look at that agreement process with DNR, see how that might work.
Would they maintain the track or not?
Yeah, I think we'll maintain the track. I think the track will stay.
Because a lot of people use that
Yes.
track.
Oh,
that I
God,
don't think would
yeah.
go anyplace else.
No,
to
no.
do
That,
it.
so the design will have to work in the track.
Work around, not around it, but include, yeah.
Include it.
Is the money for that coming out of redevelopment or something else?
To be brutally honest, I don't know that we have all that together yet.
I'm going to pay a visit to the south, what direction? Yeah, the south end of the building tomorrow and have a chat with Ms. Mulligan, the executive director. I may reach out to Russ and the like. And, the mayor and I and Eric chatted about half hour ago, Senate Bill 1, the genius is not making any of this easy for municipalities, obviously. But even in spite of that, that's a big lift for our department.
Yeah, if
Regardless.
any of the money for building or for maintenance of it
Correct.
is coming out of our budget, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a huge problem. Because that thing would take a lot of taking care of.
Yeah.
And so that would be a big problem.
Yeah, just the grounds, again, depending on what the design looks like, but, I'll try to get away from as much turf as we can, but I don't know. You have to have some turf, of course, for outdoor seating, but, we'll look at other means to,
Yeah, I don't want this getting dumped on the Parks Department, because we're pretty far down the food chain,
yeah,
behind public safety and streets, and then, we're down here, and where does that money come from? And we would need more people if we're gonna have to take care of that too. And, it's getting to be, I don't know if you looked at the budget at the end of October, the city had already spent 100% of the general fund
Yeah.
at the end of October. That's a problem. I know you can pay some bills out of other funds, like
Yeah.
we're paying the utilities out of non-reverting,
Yeah.
but, where do you get the money from for this? I know you struggle every day to make sure that we're taking care of what we've got, but, and if we're gonna add to it, I'm having a hard time understanding this.
just to let you know, we're at 88% of our budget,
Yeah,
so
you're good.
we've spent most of it,
Yeah, but, this was at the end of October.
yeah.
The city's budget is at over 100%. They're already in the red on general fund. So they're having to take money out of other funds to pay the bills. So, what are you gonna do? And of course, you know, if you're gonna use TIF money for some of this stuff, then that affects the schools, because the schools lose money.
Right.
You know, so it affects the whole
Yeah,
community.
it's a snowball effect. Yeah, it's a domino effect.
Really, you know, it's really a problem, and I think we need to, you know, I asked last month that the mayor or the chief of staff come and give us an update on this, about where they are, but I don't see them. You know, still a little more transparency. Does anybody on the council know anything about this? I mean, I think they ought to be telling everybody about it. Because it's having a big effect. And it's, you know, if you didn't watch the redevelopment commission meeting, you wouldn't know about this. And it was hard to get the chief of staff to even mention the amphitheater. He didn't want to talk about that. He wanted to talk about the track, leasing that area, but he didn't want to talk about the amphitheater. So, you know, it makes me question what's going on.
It'd be a good idea to have the amphitheater, bring about business, community. We need to know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you have plenty of money, might be a great idea. But I don't know where the money's coming from. And, you know,
You don't want to run into a situation where on paper it looked like a good idea, and I'll go ahead and say it's a much grander scale, no pun intended, when Westfield developed Grand Park
yeah.
as
yeah.
a municipal piece of property initially, then they had to seek RPOs and the like to get an outside element, and they lucked into Keystone Group because Ursall needed a place for his ladies soccer team to play and practice, and they had the Colts already, but that's just a small sliver. They had to find somebody, an outside group, who now runs it. And a complete turnover at the executive level in Westfield. It was causing a storm of issue up there.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, along the same lines, we did the master plan for Community Park. I mean, is there gonna be any money to do anything in that? It doesn't look like it to me.
We met with them last week. They're going to come in here in February for a presentation, but
It's fine, it's nice to have good ideas.
Yeah.
But if you don't have any money to do any of these things,
well, I always go back, when are we going to get our parking lot done at Community Park? In the front and the back, which, hate to think we keep going back to that, but guess what? We keep going back to that. So, all right, anything else for Eric? Board folks? Eric, you got any updates,
Just,
any events?
Real briefly, thanks, Jeff, for mentioning the Winterfest, and just to remind people, the next 3 Saturdays and Sundays will be open from 3 to 7 for skating and hot chocolate, and there are some vendors out there, so
Zero.
when weather permits, so. And on the behalf of staff and everybody else, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas and appreciate the administration gave notification yesterday that we're all receiving $1,500 bonus here in our next paycheck. So
Good.
$1,500 for all full-time and $750 for part-time employees. So
Good, good.
we do
Well,
appreciate that.
Thank you. Inside my head there. Yes. Moving on to unfinished, and Mr. White, I think we'll just throw this under unfinished. You mentioned the Scooter Carry fundraiser. Where are we at with that, guys?
I haven't heard nothing else from Rochelle, so I don't know if she's applied for the gaming license, but I haven't heard any response
Yeah.
since last
Oh,
month.
go ahead, Lizzie.
She sent me a text, and I just.
Sure.
Thank you.
She said, can you let me know if they have any questions raised tonight on my presentation from last month? I would be happy to reach out to anyone another time to discuss the bingo fundraiser ideas.
Real quick, I need it's under Marion County or Lawrence Code that we can allow for games of chance in our publicly owned facilities?
I would have to look at our ordinance, but I don't know that we specify one way or the other, so.
I would do us a favor and make a point there. But, it wouldn't do anybody any good if our ordinance says that, hey, you can't do this. Or if we don't have, would Marion County, let's say Indianapolis, if they had an ordinance banning from their public facilities, would that supersede us? So, it's a learning moment. Any questions concerning that, folks? All right. Change eyes here. All right. When I taught, I always said, don't wish your life away, but this is one of those rare moments where we got to wish our lives away a little bit. You have before you here under new business the potential meeting dates for 2026. The only change is on November 11th, which is Veterans Day, national, state, local celebration. If you take a look at those dates, still the second Wednesday of the month, like forever. So take a look at those dates, and I don't think any of them fall. Eric, I'm going to ask the folks here, do they fall on any potential religious conflicts? I don't think so. The heathen that I am.
It's not on your birthday or anything, is it?
Not on my birthday. Wait a minute, I gotta see what the June one is. It's not on Curry's birthday, so I'm safe there. I don't want to get flogged.
Okay.
All right, well, I'd entertain a motion that we accept the meeting dates as proposed. I'm going to put this on Miss D, who I'm pretty sure is the one that put these together.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion to accept
So
it.
moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next up on the agenda is the annual State of OIO report. They've been out busily revamping the indoor facility out on Lee Road. And Michael DeSantis, it's all yours, my friend.
Thank you very much, Mr. Best. Glad to be here. Glad to be here in front of the board and to have an opportunity to talk with everyone tonight. From Eric and Dina to Jeff to the entire board, all those that have served on the board over the years, we recognize at OIO that the Parks Board has been our number one fan. They've been our number one supporter. They've been our number one encourager. And so your support, your dedication, and your commitment is never lost on us. And tonight, I think we have a great opportunity to tell a story and share some narrative that really kind of backs up the way that you've been able to support us that has contributed so significantly to our growth and our progress. So I'm going to run through this, but as Jeff said just a moment ago, one of the biggest things at OIO is the new facility, or the renovation of the facility at Lee Road Park. So we're going to talk about a couple areas of our presentation a little bit more than the others, but I do want to give you a current state of where we stand. So as you see, this will flip up on the screen, we have a number of key statistics. And I'm happy to say that once again, the state of OIO is strong and vibrant and thriving in every which way imaginable. From our players, to our families, to our travel teams, to our rec league, to our participants, to our families, to our supporters, our donors, and everything that we've done. And now even we have a chance to add one more location and one more facility in our arsenal that really changes things. But we've really had a great opportunity. We've had a lot of support from the community. We've been able to continue to invest those dollars back in our park, just as we agreed when we signed on with our agreement year after year. In addition to that, we believe in order to make OIO thrive, we need to run it like a business. And we've tried to do that for the bulk of our existence, and particularly over the last 15 or so years, we've seen a lot of emphasis on how we run the league is very consistent. Over the last 4 years, we haven't run a book club, but it seems like we've run a book club, where we've talked about these themes that have come out from moving from good to great, to understanding our why, to how do we scale our organization, to now, how do we take an advantage. And that's really kind of led to us taking a look at how we strive through partnerships, perspectives, the improvements that we can make in the organization, how we're really focused on what that scaling will look like, and how that sets us up for more progress and growth. This year, the theme of the advantage an author that I particularly like as well, Patrick Lencioni. What happens if we create an environment that is really focused on productivity and communication at OYO? And what we look at, and what's really unique, is that we have more than 125 years of board experience on our board within the OYO umbrella. There is a wealth of knowledge. We have a really strong board, an expanded board, and we have some real opportunities to do something different and tap into that expertise. So tonight, I want to talk about the 5 Ps of OYO. First is our promise, and what is it that we promise to deliver back to our communities and our families and our players. Who are those people that define our OYO, and what does it look like? What is the payoff of the efforts that we've done? How have we been able to do it? Those 3 I'll go through relatively quickly, and then we'll spend a little bit more time talking about the potential, and then we'll finish with the partnership opportunities between OYO and the Parks Department and the Parks Board. So first up is our promise. Our promise really is twofold. We have a board that is 67 people large, and I'll talk about that in just a moment, and they're really focused on delivering quality experiences to our families and our ball players. The more that we can do that, the more that we're going to be able to set a culture and that's of involvement, engagement, diversity, inclusion, and that's really what we want to try to strive for at OYO, and that's what we're really focused on. So with that, we've been able to really develop it. From the board, that full board, we have 11 individuals that form our executive board, and they get to a lot more of a strategic look. So while the general board is focused on the transactional experiences, the executive board is looking at the long-term strategic look of how we can operate our league, trying to be a differentiator through our vision, what can we do, and then most importantly, understanding our why, and that is to create player development opportunities while guiding our youth through life lessons. We want to make sure that it's not just about winning or losing ball play or games on the ball field, but it's about helping these ball players prepare for life as they go forward. One of the things that we really know that's important to our families is balance. Nobody wants to be in an unfair situation where they don't have an opportunity to be competitive, and that's one of the things that we've really strived for. So the green is what's really important on this chart, is because that's our team balance, and it can be very subjective, because if you win the tournament, you probably feel like you're on a great team. If you lose a tournament, you probably feel like you're not. But we recognize that if we can be in that neighborhood of about 50 to 55% in that top 2 box of excellent or very good on our team balance, we're going to strive. And that's really been where we've been looking over the last 4 or 5 years to make strides, that we can do things through how we do our evaluations, to how we put teams together, without taking away the experience of our ball players. And then not only do we want a 50 or 55% top 2 box, but we want to have about a 20 to 25% gap between those that are very positive to those that are very negative. We want to have a substantial, sizable gap in those scores, and we're working towards that. So this past year, we were 17% positive in the spring, and we were 19% positive, 19% positive in the spring and 17% positive in the fall. So we're making the efforts, but we realized we'd continue to need to use our scalpel, continue to eliminate some of the issues that might happen, and drive those numbers upwards. So our promise to improve in 2026 is 5-fold. One is we want to focus on that player development efforts, and that's where the indoor facility, which I'll talk about in just a moment, is really coming into play. We want to focus on the team balance. We want to make sure that we emphasize the OYO way. One of the greatest areas of growth that we saw this past year was how inherent with our code of conduct and the OYO way in our league. And that came with some progress, which was very intentional. Because what we were able to do is we recognized there were some coaches that did not embody those behaviors or those values, and their behaviors were very negative, very loud, very boisterous, and to the way that they were negative toward the children. And we wanted to, so we kind of made decisions not to bring those coaches back. And we tried to bring in leaders that would be role models for our children, and that became a big part of our league. We want to make sure that we have the opportunity to maximize the resources that are in Veterans Memorial Park, but all around the City of Lawrence, to create more opportunities. And then we also want to continue to work towards a curb appeal approach and a refresh within Veterans Memorial Park. The second P was about our people, or our players. And just taking a look at the numbers, 2 out of every 3 players are from an Indianapolis or Lawrence zip code. And then we had approximately about another 25% that were within the Hancock County zip codes. And then the remaining 10% were either from Fishers or even further out. So that was really kind of a strength of where we saw our families coming from. We had 1,385 unique ball players that played in the spring or the fall or through our travel program. When you look at those that have required assistance, this has been a fairly steady number that we expect to increase this year because we're going to put more emphasis on marketing it. But our scholarships this past year, we did see a slight decrease in both percentage and the number, which I don't think is because of a booming economy. I just think it was a lack of awareness. And we want to make sure that we're not leaving anybody behind because they are unable to get the support. So we will continue to put an emphasis on this, and we can expect these numbers to grow probably in the neighborhood of 75 to a total of 75 or 100 before the end of 2026. The last is our demographics through our race and ethnicity. And right now we are 50% even or white, and the remaining 50% is a complete blend of many other races that are joining our league. So, and particularly with multiple races, Black and American or Hispanic / Latino are really kind of where we're seeing the growth. So we are a very diversified league. There's been a lot of perceptions that OIO is somewhat of a different kind of community than the rest, but I think we are starting to represent very much what the general population is showing. Our third P is our people and our volunteers. This is a look at our board. We have a total of 40 chair positions and 11 to 12, depending on the year, executive board positions. And then we have 67 individuals serving this year, filling a total of 70 positions. So we have a tremendous turnout from our board. In our board, we only have one position on our, and not technically a board member, but somebody who's very active within the board discussions. We only have one paid member in our entire league. Everything else that we do is volunteer, with the exception of obviously paid staff in the concession stand or paid umpires. But the way we make the league work is through our volunteers. Just looking down, a lot of organizations are struggling with volunteerism, not at OIO. This is one of our strengths. Just a few years ago, we had only about 30 to 35 board members, and now we have doubled that. And when you look at the numbers, and you can see a lot of different things there, but really the key one is the fact that right up there in the 2026 board recruitment, 47 of our board members are returning, and then 20 are new, and 3 are still opening. So we've had quite a turn of event in terms of what we're trying to do and how we're trying to grow. And then in addition to that, our 67 board members exceeds the goal that we set out back in August by 1. And we also look at things in the same way those schools look at things. Schools are, how many students per teacher. We try to look at how many players per board member. And one of the things that we've been trying to do is lower that over the course of time. And our goal this year for 2026 was to have, assuming that our numbers are fairly similar, to have 30 players for every 1 board member. And right now we're exceeding that 29 to 1. So we feel like we've done a great job of having the support elements that we need to support our players. Not only that, but our board is very diverse. We have the best mixture. It may not look that great, but basically 3 to 2 in terms of male, 60% male and 40% or so female. That is one of our best mixtures that we've ever had. It's been heavily dominated by the male. We continue to bring more female and women into our board. Tenure, basically same situation. We have it's a 60-40 ratio. 60% are returning, but 40% of our board is brand new. And when you think about 67 board members, that's a lot of orientations that we've been conducting. The sport, it's very balanced. We have an equal number between baseball and softball. It's incredibly balanced, and it is heavily, in the past, it's been heavily, I wouldn't say heavily, but it's much more slated towards, or slated to involve our travel families as board members. But we've gone back to our roots a lot more to have our rec league represented and still have a strong voices from our travel program so that everybody can get what they need. Looking at our payoff. One of the things that we really are proud about at OIO is we've been able to keep our fees fairly flat, particularly in the spring. We've had, and if you look all the way back to 2020, we've only had 1 increase in 5 years. And going into next year, it does not look like we will need an increase. So it'll be 6 years with only a single increase And we've been able to do it through the support of very cost-efficient methods of what we do, good, strong negotiations for the items that we purchase, and then most importantly, our sponsorship strategy. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. But fall ball has been a little bit different. The program has evolved. We started with 10 games, then we moved up to 12, then we went all the way up to 16, then 18 in the year of COVID, then we said we were going to come back down. So that's why that one's a little bit more jagged. It evolved over time to figure out what we really were comfortable with, and now we're comfortable with a 12-game season plus a tournament, and that seems to be right for our families. Our sponsorships are off to a great start. Once again, for 2026, we've already had some renewals that are in good shape. But last year, we had $64,500 in sponsorships that were actually collected. There was more that was pledged that we're still trying to get the original sponsors to commit to paying, but $64,500 in sponsorship money. That alone has really helped us keep our fees in check and keep it affordable for all our families. And with all of that, our profitability. Over the last 4 years, we've been able to turn around the previous 4 years where we were kind of losing a little bit of money. We've been able to really turn this around and bring some stability to our financials, be able to really leverage those dollars, be able to save them for what we thought might be a purpose that would be valuable for the league down the road. Which leads to the first topic that I really want to dive into is our potential. And our potential involves how do we help serve and better meet the needs of our families and our ball players. And the time has come. The time has come. We have finally have found a way, through the help of the Parks Department and the Parks Board's support, to have an indoor facility that can now make OYO a year-round opportunity for anyone who wants to play baseball and softball. On top of that, it now has a name. The facility over at Lee Road will be called the Bullpen. And we are excited about this. We believe it's already been getting a lot of momentum. People are asking, hey, can we rent it out? And I'll tell you about that in a second, but we don't have any space to rent out. It is already maxed out between our rec leagues and our travel teams. Unless they want to take their kids out of school, we don't really have any openings for them. So, with that said, these are just some of the things that we set out to do. There was an exterior strategy, an interior strategy, and then we realized we needed a lot of equipment. When we looked into the building, it'll be fair to say, I'd be remiss if I didn't say we thought it was in reasonable shape and we would be able to do some things with it. We found out a lot more needed to be done as we went through it. And it's not quite like the movie with Shelley Long and Tom Hanks, The Money Pit. But there have been days when I'm like, hey, is this ever going to stop? So, but we are really happy and excited about the opportunities. And I'll dive into a little bit more, but one of the things that we have done is we brought a full HVAC system in, both heat and air conditioning. We will be installing brand new turf. We've completely painted replaced many of the walls, replaced several of the ceiling panels. We've taken out a room. We have completely repainted the indoors. We've added brand new lights to make it brighter. And on top of all of that, we painted the exterior as well. So we've really given it a complete renovation. It's still in the works. We're still about 3 or 4 weeks out from being finished, but we are really, really excited about what this is going to be for OYO and for the city of Lawrence and all the players that will come in. Just a look at how the schedule works. So these are some ways that our players and coaches will work in cages, but these are the time slots that we have, and we only have 3 open slots. And 2 of them are Sunday mornings before 11 o'clock, and the other 2 are on Friday night, and in fact, that's only 1 now, because somebody was able to claim a Friday night slot. So we only have 3 open slots between 5 o'clock and 9 o'clock on the weeknights, and between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. on weekends. So we've utilized this building from start to finish, all the way through. When you look at the investment we made, we came into the board, and a number of conversations I had with Eric and Jeff involved OYO is willing to commit to $50,000 to completely renovate this facility and utilize it. What we have found right now, and this number continues to climb up, it's up to $78,500 today, but we are now investing $78,500 to completely renovate this building to make it functional, usable, and sustain it for the long term. We are incredibly happy about this. It's an investment. Those past 4 years of profitability those are the reasons we strive for that profitability, so that we can have these kinds of days where we can support our ball players, our families, by having places to play baseball and softball year-round. This is very similar to what we did in the late 2000s, and then set us up well for the early 2010 stretch, where we were able to construct a concession stand in the back part of the park and remove the portalettes and everything else we had there, and have a real facility to have 2 concession stands now with 2 sets of restrooms. And that, those are the reasons why we save what we do, and why we try to be very, I wouldn't say frugal, but cost conscious in how we deliver our experiences. The renovation, to break those numbers down a little bit, we said we would start off with 50,000. Our preliminary budget became 62.5 fairly quickly. Then we finished a projected budget in middle to late October, but a little more than 73,000. And before today, we were realizing we were already in excess of 77,000. And now, due to some additional things that we've identified, it will be 78.5. I'm sure we'll be over 80 before it's over. But that's just an investment that we made. And one of the things that I'll talk about in a moment is we would like to make sure that we work with the city, that we are ensured that we can have access to this facility for the long term. And so right now, our agreement is signed for 2 years. OIO is coming forward with a request that maybe we can do an extension for another 3 years, so that there's no risk that all this money that's been invested would ever be at a loss to us, because there will be turnover within OIO. I'm starting to phase out. I want to make sure that I'm setting up the league for success long term, and we put in a lot of money to really kind of restore a building, and this is something that we'd like to make a commitment to. So just to how these numbers break down, part of the reason why we went over is there were some things we identified, and that led us to accelerate what we thought might be a year 2 project into year 1. So, and then in particular, it's the gravel. So we have now built a 2-lane gravel parkway plus parking by the building. Only way that people would have been able to approach this building would have been walking through the grass in the middle of January and February. You can only imagine how slushy and muddy that would have been. And then they would go into the facility, bringing all those muddy shoes in with them, and there's just a recipe for disaster. So what we have done is we have put down a completely gravel path, 2 lanes from the parking lot at Lee Road up to the building, and then we've allowed space, which will essentially allow for about 30 cars to park near the building. So that's one of the things that we've done now, rather than wait for year 2. The second is the turf. The turf has been an animal in and of itself. The turf that we have in there has had a lot of water moisture under it, and we believe that there's probably going to be some mold issues if we leave it in there much longer. So we need to lift out the turf. The downside is whoever originally put the turf in, and we don't know, nor do we really care, is the fact that it's been glued down all the way across. It's not just glued down on the seams, it's glued down underneath. It's about a $5,000 project just to get the turf off so that we can put new turf in. And then we have to have the new turf installed, and then in the process of doing all this, the cost of turf went up in the last 2 months by 70 cents a square foot. So everything is just been kind of snowballed on us. But we are, again, committed to doing that. But what we originally thought might be about $15,000, $16,000 project was turned into about a $25,000 project just to put turf down in that relatively small space facility. I don't know how they do it on bigger facilities, but that's where we are. The progress we've made, I'll just kind of leave this up there. Oops. Is that we've done a lot of things. A lot of things have been done, as we talked about earlier. There's still a number of new things to do. There's still a door to be installed. There's still an overhead door to be installed. We are going to tile an opening room. We got to put all the turf in. We got to remove the turf and then put it in. And then all the equipment needs to be purchased, and the cages and the wiring all needs to be installed. So still lots of things to be done, but we're excited. One of the requests I have for tonight for Dina and Eric and others is we would like to have a ribbon cutting for this event. We'd like to bring the Parks Board and the Parks Department and the City of Lawrence and the Mayor's Office out to have a formal ribbon cutting, because we believe this is a significant renovation and growth opportunity for the City of Lawrence. And then we'd like to follow that up with an open house. I'm not sure we'll have too many food items in there so much, because we don't want all the turf to get ruined on day 1, but we certainly want to have an opportunity for people to see it and be excited about it, because it is, while it may be managed by Ohio, it is for the City of Lawrence. The last thing is our partnership. So just kind of looking where we are with our current agreement, we are incredibly thankful and grateful for the service and services you've offered, particularly the paving of the paths. That has been a huge hit with OIO in the last 2 months, and we haven't even had activity out there. And the number of people I've stopped by or have seen and said, hey, I heard you guys paved the path to the back. I heard you've got new paving out there. I was like, yes, we do, courtesy of the city. That is great. I can't wait to get back out there. So just knowing that they don't have to push strollers or even grandparents to come out in wheelchairs out to the back fields over on gravel is a huge win, and we are incredibly grateful for that. Similar to that, there are opportunities, I think, that we can still get some more things done together. We'd love to see at some point when the time is right, we don't want to lose sight that the parking lots need some pavement. And then if we are to do that, we'd like to even paint the parking lines so that they're at a diagonal, forcing one-way patterns, so that we don't have any young children getting hit by cars going in both directions and one blocks the other from seeing it. In addition to that, more parking in general. We know we've had conversations about the area and the green area around 62nd Street. I think the time has come. There are way too many cars that are trying to park in our space anymore because of the growth of OIO. But plus the fact that we also have our soccer program across the street from us at FC Pride, and they are definitely utilizing our parking lots as well. So there's certainly a need in that regard. But in the short term, if there are ways to do more directional signage and to have some lighting for safety, that would be greatly appreciated. Looking ahead, there are 4 things I'd like to bring to the Parks Board tonight. First is, I've already referenced it, we would like to see extend the bullpen, the agreement for what we call the bullpen through the end of 2030. Right now, it runs through the end of 2027. This would allow us a chance to kind of really ensure and lock in our investment in that facility of more than $80,000 to date. Second is, I think what we would really like to do is that we are committed to serving every Lawrence player and family in every way imaginable. OIO continues to evolve, and with that, we're also bursting at the seams, and we believe that there are some opportunities here. We've invested our time, our resources, and our dollars over the years for 52 years for the kids of OIO. What I'm here tonight to present on behalf of OIO is we believe that there should be, for the city of Lawrence, I think the city of Lawrence is ready for one single unified baseball and softball program. I believe that we can house these players, we can make Veterans Memorial Park an incredible game day experience location, and we can utilize the other spaces that might be available, whether it be at Lawrence Park or whether it would be at even at Lee Road and some of the green space that might have been old fields or even a field that still exists, and turn those into quality practice spaces that are used on a regular basis. And we can have one program that truly serves all the kids to maximum capacity. So that's something that's number 2 that I'd like to bring to the table. Number 3 is we're going to commit to rebuilding our full-time travel program, especially on the baseball side. Softball is strong, while it's on the older age side, and we want to build up the younger. Our baseball side is a little bit softer right now, and we definitely want to rebuild that program. And 4th is, with the right infrastructure in place, we are open to hosting more external programs to bring more traffic into the city of Lawrence through tournaments when we're not using the fields for our kids, which typically tends to be in July, maybe even early August, sometimes late June, so that we can host more tournaments. That will bring more people from other communities into the city of Lawrence, and it will be a boon for the local community. Those are our 4 things that we're asking for support from the city. To recap, an extension of the current agreement for the indoor facility, to explore a merger potentially, or some kind of a relationship or alliance between OIO and Fall Creek, to rebuild our travel program, and then lastly, to make sure that we do as much as we can to bring external people in to play in our park when we're not using it with our own children within the city of Lawrence, and maximize that opportunity of growth and business and commerce for the city of Lawrence. Thank you.
Real quick, that last slide was of most importance to me. Couple things before I address that. It's OYO, you guys continue to be the gold standard. It took the league getting burned by malfeasance many years ago to get us back on track and where we need to go. Your commitment to youth baseball is beyond reproach. Very excited about the facility out at Lee Road Park, Lighter Point. Since I've been gimping around here the last year, and Miss Helen knows what I'm talking about here, I now value parking and handicap parking spots, people. Holy hell, it's a great thing. But thank you, council, again, I know you may get sick of me saying it, but having those pathways, very important, and I appreciate that greatly. I do only have one, I know it may sound nitpicky. I have one, I'm going to push back on it hard, and that is the naming of the Lee Road facility. I want it to be branded as a City of Lawrence facility. A rebranding of the name, the bullpen at Lee Road Park in the City of Lawrence, because it is a City of Lawrence facility, and it is a partnership. That's a big pushback that, to be blunt and honest, I'm going to make it an expectation that that's what the name needs to be on that facility. And you guys can chime in. I'm only one voice. This is the other part I'm going to drop on the board here. An extension of field out use. This potentially is my last meeting serving the City of Lawrence. My term is up in January. There is no guarantee. 41 years of serving the city. I may be headed off into the sunset. So you folks, especially this last slide is very important. The goals of long-term beyond 2026, folks. Whoever sits in this chair and plus you four, potentially working very close with OYO and maintaining this great relationship, continue to grow the league. And I will second, it's no secret that I would love to have one youth baseball league. I'm an economy of scale type of guy. I think the opportunities afforded our families at Community Park could be greatly enhanced with a partnership with OYO Baseball. And personally, I think we will get a more full-time use of Community Park when it comes to those baseball fields. Right now, Eric, how many fields do we have over there?
9.
We have 9. It's greatly underutilized. It just is. And, we've even kicked around the idea of scaling them back by 3 or 4 fields. But combining a league of damn near 1,200 in the spring, summer, and I like the ideal of extending youth-based, I'll call it the summer league, from April to August, or, right up to the start of school would be a goal of mine. And if you're able to add another 200 or 300 kids, you may not have a choice. Screwing up in reverse, I use that phrase a lot. But that would be a goal of mine. So that's my 2 cents, the naming, and you folks possibly working with a new board member to continue to work with OYO and, FC Pride and still Fall Creek Baseball. But, Michael, you say you're going to walk away, and you've been walking away for 10 years. It's like me in coaching. I'm in my 44th year. I've been walking away from coaching for 10. But I keep showing up to practice and meets and all of that. So thank you for your service.
I had a couple of things, Michael, and thank you for the presentation. Very well put together. You guys are our class act, and we're excited to continue this partnership. I had a question, if you can elaborate a little bit more on the financial assistance, so the Every Kids Play grant. Obviously, the incentive is to help those who have not necessarily played baseball to get in there, and there are some financial constraints. If you could elaborate, is that for rec league as well as travel, or is it more specifically just on the rec league
All
side?
scholarships that we offer are for our rec league only.
Okay.
So we do not offer travel teams are somewhat independent.
Yeah.
Full-time travel programs are definitely independent.
Yeah.
All-Stars programs of 2 different levels. For those that don't know, we have a rec league, and then we have an All-Stars, which are comprised of the best of the rec league who want to play. And then we have a full-time travel program, which do not have any involvement in our rec league at all, at least not in the spring. Sometimes they come back and play in the fall. So, but the scholarships that we offer, whether it's the Every Kid grant from Dix or our own scholarship program, those are all exclusively for rec league kids. And anybody who plays in our All-Star program must pay their way through the rec league. They can't get a scholarship for the rec league and then say, oh, I'll pay for our travel program. It doesn't work that way. If you're in travel, you have to pay your rec league way.
Thank you for the clarity. And I'll be honest, I know when we initially started down this path and you guys were looking to invest into Lee Road Park, I mean, as far as the name goes, it is at Lee Road Park. I mean, we could probably do some sponsorship or sponsored by OYO. I'm sure there's something that we can do from a legality standpoint, but I am a little disappointed to hear that everything is completely booked already. I think initially when you presented, I know we had thought about, you know, specifically for those kids that are trying to get some immersion into the sport, that there would be some opportunity. I hope that you guys have a plan to still address those needs, even though this area seems like it's booked.
And the winter workouts we do are open to the public. So anyone who is interested in playing baseball, softball, we certainly are striving for that. The 3 openings that we do have, we're also utilizing for coach training and development and things of that nature, try to bring more adults into our league that haven't done it. But it's a great point that, you know, when we started this, we were like, hey, look at all the things that we can do. And then real quickly it filled up between our 10 all-star teams, our 8 or so full-time travel teams, and then we have another about 12, 15 hours that are dedicated a week to our winter workouts. There are still openings in all age groups. In fact, our youngest baseball age group is populated so quickly and they're maxed out. We're opening up a second age group, which are going to give another 20 spots for our youngest. But for those younger ball players, which are typically probably more the type of an 11 or 12-year-old is probably a little less likely to come in and play for the first time, but those 7 and 8-year-olds, we still have 20 openings or 25 openings on the softball side. And we have now that we've opened up a new age group, we have 25 openings on the baseball side. So we have room for people that want to come in and play and experience the sport. And we try to market this as broadly as we can with the limited marketing dollars that we have as a league, but to try to let people know that this is open for everybody. It's not limited to OYO. Hopefully that answers your question.
No, it does, and I think we can be creative as far as to how to get the word out. This is a sponsorship, and it goes both ways, and we have, you know, a footprint that you guys can, you know, piggyback on as well.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Jen.
Along those lines, thank you so much. Just this has been so incredibly informative, and as somebody whose 2 children played OIO, 2 of my 3, it's just exciting to see the expansion that's happening, so kudos. I do have a question about when looking at the demographics and knowing how popular baseball is in the Hispanic community. It is, and knowing that in Lawrence Township, we have about 30% of our students who identify as Hispanic. It is a little concerning that we have such a small, it looked like it was less than 5% of the players are Hispanic. And so I do wonder what opportunities, knowing that Lawrence Township has such such a robust Hispanic community, that it seems like a missed opportunity that we don't have more of our Hispanic youth that are participating in our baseball program.
Real quick, I noticed one of the best things the township did, and this goes back, Jesus, showing my age, it's back when Lizzie and I both were in the classroom, but this goes back 25 plus years. The best thing we did, especially when boys and girls soccer became is IHS sport and then exploded, is the activity buses allowing kids could work out and get picked up at 6:30, but then it's expanded to our basketball, wrestling, football. We do it now with winter track and the like. It's a partnership of picking kids up from either the middle school or and this goes back to the marketing partnership,
Yep.
and even helping our friends out at Fall Creek Little League. It's partnership with MSD to have kids, especially in the spring, those kids who aren't playing soccer, and the like. It's amazing over the last 3 or 4 years. It's unique. Our teams are becoming more and more predominantly Hispanic, which you thought would have happened sooner. Soccer.
Yeah.
But I think a partnership with MSD, some of those kids, like you said, it's big in the Latin community. But it does depend on from what particular region of Latin American, Venezuelans and Dominicans and Panamanians they really appeal to. And the reason why I know this little study working out at Butler is you're finding communities have large Mexican population still lean heavily towards playing soccer.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I just want you to know that I'd be happy to be a thought partner because working with English learners in the Hispanic community is something that is very near and dear to my heart. So I don't say that to say like, oh, listen, you've got to do better. I say that as, please work with me if that is something that is of interest, and I'd be happy to be a
We
thought
would
partner.
love to do that, and one of the things that we've recognized too is that when we do some of our marketing, particularly to that audience right now, we understand that everything's in English, and that could also be a little bit of a deterrent. We had multiple families this past year that we needed to, I wouldn't say we needed an interpreter, but they had the parents, only the child was able to speak English, the parents did not. And so we had to work with the coach to make sure that we were communicating in a way. So it is on the rise. It's going to continue to be on the rise. It's the community that we live in today, and we need to embrace it, not try to run from it.
Yeah.
And I would love to have that kind of conversation, Jessica.
Super.
So
Thanks.
if we can have more, we can certainly connect volunteers.
Excellent.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for everything you do, because it's been a great program over the years.
Thank you.
But how do you market? Can you talk about your marketing and how people know about these things?
So we try to do it on a shoestring. We are a nonprofit. We try to do it. Yes, we make some money, and we are going to invest a little. Like, for example, our website is the same website we've had since 2019. We're ready for a refresh, among some other things. Our marketing is really limited to, I laugh about this because we get some feedback about this every once in a while, heavily email, and people sometimes get tired of our emails. But with that said, we email to our existing audience base, and when we try to let that be a springboard to the external audiences that we might want to try to reach. In addition to that, we try to get into the schools and the newsletters and of that nature. We do a lot with social media. We now have a 4-person, technically a 5-person marketing committee. We have a VP of marketing. I used to be in that role, and then now we have somebody fully dedicated to it. And while doing my other things, so I couldn't really do it as well as I'd like. So we have a VP of marketing who has a marketing background, and we have a digital marketer who will handle our websites and any kind of like Google advertising and things that we might want to do. We have a social media chair. We also have a PR person who will help try to reach out to more media outlets and do different things to get more visibility. Maybe even run some photo contests and get more photos out there so people can see things. And then we have a survey chair, which obviously becomes a part of our survey as well, or information. So all those 5 people are now working, when it used to be 1 person trying to get the word out. We now have a 5-person committee as part of our expanded board, and we're excited to see what they can produce next year.
Has the city done things to promote this or to advertise it? Do you know? I mean,
We've piggybacked a few times on their social media as far as,
that's one page we don't have as a social media that is, I should be able to click a button on the city website and it says youth sports.
we do on our website, yeah.
On-
It just goes to their website.
Oh,
Doesn't
okay,
go-
got it.
It doesn't go to any other social media, so.
But the city has newsletters that we put out. Do we ever put anything in those newsletters about this?
We have not seen it.
No.
No.
Doesn't mean that we're not like
I
to
mean,
be
I don't
involved.
see
with that.
why we couldn't do that.
Yeah,
I mean,
the what we call the Lawrence Lift goes out every month,
Right.
so.
And even the monthly newsletter the MSDLT puts out, we need to see more of our City of Lawrence focus, because it's LT Basketball League is definitely out there, and that is always, that's kind of a lot of people think that's about the only thing in Lawrence Township, but I'll be honest, but LT BBL been around darn near 50 years, and
about as long as
I
it's
think we need to dovetail with our other youth leagues, because it's a revenue opportunity for the city.
Along those lines, we put up, you probably have seen them, the little yard signs all over the city. We typically put about 100 of those up before every spring and fall season. Try to hit all the schools in the spring, get kids are in school, we know they're not in school in the fall, so we try to hit more corners and intersections until they get taken down, of course, so.
Jeff, so let's talk about if there is a way ahead in regards to Fall Creek baseball and OIO being able to sit down and create some type of.
That's been a goal of mine for 10 years, Michael. Eric definitely knows that. It's almost a détente gathering, Soviets and the Americans. Can you reach across the table? I'm not going to pick on any one particular group where we run into roadblocks, but I think we needed to have some serious, hard conversations. We just do, okay? Before travel football completely overtook our youth football league here in the last 3 or 4 years, it goes back 10, 15 years, Eric and I drugged the 2 competing youth football leagues together, and I knew both sides real well, and I've been around sports my whole life, and I hate to say I was kind of dictatorish to get both sides to agree, but we got both sides to agree, and it worked until, like I said, you had the hardcore emergence of travel exclusive youth football, and that's a different beast and everything. But I think that is definitely a conversation that needs to be had between now and March. Like I said, whoever is sitting in this seat, involve you guys, but it's got to be a hard conversation. Because dollars are becoming scarcer and scarcer. Where are parents going to put their money? I-9 has filled a niche for us out here. More and more of our kids are playing, they have choices. They just do. And I'd like to see Lawrence Community Park used more efficiently. I'd like to see it more utilized. I don't want to see it empty on a second week of June, where in the back they're either playing soccer and they're on the skate park, and that the back baseball fields are not being used and the like. I don't want to see that. I like to see it used starting first day of April, and I like to see it all the way up to the middle or late October.
And
5, 6, 7 days a week.
Amen.
One thing that you also addressed that I really think in regards to utilization of the parks, I would say come back and add an addendum to this with your plan to potentially host tournaments, because that's something that we desperately need. And we've not had anybody willing to step up and say, hey, I'm going to manage this thing, because it requires a lot of manpower as well, and resources.
Yeah, on the issue of tournaments, are you talking about you doing the tournaments or outsourcing these to somebody
We are
else?
talking about outsourcing to associations that do it, or organizations that do it. There are, like on the softball side,
Yeah.
or even on the baseball side, there are associations like USSSA or others that do tournaments, and they're constantly looking for fields. And in fact, my daughter plays full-time travel, and I go to some of these fields, and I'm like, why are we not playing Veterans Memorial Park? These fields that they're on. And we made some changes in our park to better position us for that. We brought in some fences that were 250 feet to be more uniform at 200
200,
feet, which is
yeah.
what they ask, and things of that nature. So we made changes in the park that would support this, and then now even with some of that green space plus the walking trails, it becomes even more of an appealing place. So we are, whether it's NSA or U-Trip is what they call it, or some others, we are interested in having those organizations, whether it's baseball, softball, or both, come in and look at our facilities. We believe we've got a great opportunity for them to play.
Michael, is it too late to anticipate, because that will require a secondary use agreement between you, and that from my side, I see a chance as a revenue generator for this department, give you a homework assignment, conversations with them between them. I'm using March, because come April, outdoor activities start, people want to be outside. Get conversations going, strike up talks where maybe we can get them here in March, by March, and moving, like you said, to the spring and summer where we can get 4 or 5 or 6 tournaments.
Yeah, like I said, it's pretty much a July into early
Yeah.
August initiative, because our fields are in use by our families, and
Right.
that's first priority. We would never take anything away from our families. We're not like Hamilton County or HSE, which will tell their kids you're not playing this weekend because we're going to host
Yeah.
a tournament. We do not want to be in that position ever. At least I don't want to be the leader of the organization in that position. But I do think there's opportunities in July and early August to continue to use it.
Yep.
If they're using it, it keeps the weeds off the field, it makes it a lot easier on everybody.
And a lot of kids are transitioning over to either a soccer or football. I even picked my cross-country kids who play in the summertime.
Would the calendars allow for those sort of tournaments now? I mean, is it too late to get into that tournament
Not
schedule?
necessarily, because even though they may have tournaments set up, they're still looking for secondary fields because they
Yeah.
always have overflow.
Okay.
Like, for example, they've used the Mount Vernon fields
Yeah.
down the road, and others, but they don't have either enough lights, or there's not enough fields, or things of that nature. We've got a unique situation. I know both the state directors for both UTRIP and NSA well, and I've started to have conversations last year, and then I'm trying to continue those conversations and then turn it over to the more of the travel committee, so I'm not doing everything, but let them have some of those conversations.
And travel families like amenities where to eat and the like, and for the opportunities for those businesses close by on Pendleton Pike, eateries and the like, could see an opportunity.
You're saying, are you saying that we would contract with
Uh,
the other
uh,
organization?
yes.
An external.
Yeah.
Okay, because
An extra,
we had an experience where that didn't happen.
Yes, and-
When it was contracted out, and that's not part of the agreement, in my.
right, exactly.
That they would come to
That's
us.
what we need to do, we gotta come back.
Yeah.
and get
Yeah,
permission.
okay, that's what I want.
They're in essence renting the facility.
Yeah, I mean.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I want more use.
Yes.
But I want it done the right way.
Correct.
When you said lighting needs for a field, I think 10 and 12, was that at Veterans Memorial? Or is that?
Yeah, I think anything we can do just to provide more safety back there for those that might be there late at night, because it still gets dark in fall ball and it still gets dark early in the spring when they're kind of pushing practices to the limits. So just to have some extra lighting, but it's also more for park safety and security.
Yeah,
Because
that's a
lot
big
of,
deal.
people are passing through that park, and we just would hate to see or know that
It's
anything kind
dark.
of happen unnecessarily. So.
We might look at utilizing like one bank of lights on the field as security lights, leave one bank on, whether we can do that through photocell or how that works. And instead of actually installing new lights, but looking at the existing field lighting we
I think
have.
it fixed off of the concession stand and pointing in different
That's
directions.
the big one, is I'd like
So long
to
as
see
they
the
don't disturb
concession
neighbors.
stand.
Yeah.
Anything else, colleagues?
Along the same line of renting the facility, you mentioned about renting a facility, and I know you're not going to do it right now, but would that require another agreement?
Okay, are we talking the field house?
The field house, yeah. I mean, I know it's full up right now, but maybe in the future it wouldn't be.
That's where we would have to come back and massage the agreement. I don't know if it's worded that a third, I don't know what the language is for third party.
Yeah, without an agreement coming back, there wasn't. It was
Okay.
just solely with OYO.
Okay,
Say that
If I
again?
come
It's-
back to the naming convention, and we are happy to take the OIO portion out of it and call it the.
No.
oh, okay, on the renting thing real quick?
Yeah, that was my question.
Okay.
What would, I didn't understand
The agreement right now is just with OYO. So if, let's say Dina wanted to bring a team out there, Dina would have to have a separate agreement.
okay,
With us.
that's my question.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to clarify,
Yeah.
so that we don't run into a problem.
Right.
I mean, I don't think.
Teams
But we
affiliated
would-
with
but we
OIO
wouldn't-
are free to
Yeah.
use it. If we were to bring in other organizations or
They
teams,
need an agreement
yeah,
with
we would have
us.
to come and get an
Okay.
agreement, a secondary
That's-
agreement.
Yeah, that's my.
That's my respect, you know, I don't see OIO sneaking something under the door. Like I said, you've been burned before, and yeah. And getting back to the naming, go ahead, Michael,
So,
finish
the
your
naming
thought.
Convention, we are happy to call it the Lawrence, City of Lawrence, whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah.
We particularly like the bullpen because.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah,
But we are happy to.
The bullpen call it City of Lawrence, the bullpen at Lee Road
As
Park.
long as it's got something.
I'm throwing it out, I am not a marketing
If
guru.
any signage on the building, we will run it through, who should we run that through?
Get it started with Eric, and then
I'll bring it to the board.
we'll address it.
And can I,
Go ahead,
I
Deb.
just, I do want, I feel like that we still haven't established, and I'm sorry, maybe we have, but I feel like some next steps, like identify next steps. So like, are we agreeing that we are going to extend the agreement through 2030?
At this time, like I said, I think that's something to address going in the 26 and beyond, if we were to prioritize, I'm going to be honest, number 2, establish a single all-company, all-encompassing alliance. You know, we have one league. I think that is a priority. Priority 2 is bringing out more tournaments, so the parks, plural, are utilized more often than they are now. And then going forward into 26, late 26, into early 27, with working on an agreement. Right now, we're taking baby steps out there at that field house right now in its usage. It's renovation and usage. So that's what I would envision going forward. It's a list of priorities.
All this is
So-
done in good faith. We're all working towards a common goal.
Oh,
right?
yeah. And I know working with OIO, they love conversations. As long as there's talks, and it's above board, and there's accountability, which I thoroughly believe there is, I think that's what we're all shooting for.
We just want to protect the investment that we made.
Yes,
We-
and that's the bottom line,
Naturally,
yes.
we've been partners for 52 years, but at the same time, we put in 80,000, we just, in 2 years, we don't, hey, you know, there's another high bidder that comes along, we're, go over here, and then we don't have anything to show for those dollars. So that's right.
No, and that truthfully, I feel that, and that is a lot of money to invest in something where there's not an understanding that this is a long-term partnership. I mean, and that's my, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I do agree that having a single all-encompassing youth baseball, but you yourself have said that that's something that's been 10 years in the making. Like, to me, it feels like extending an agreement is something that could happen that is a low-hanging fruit. And like you said, we've been partners for over 50 years. I mean, to me, that.
I agree
I feel like that's
wholeheartedly,
a real win and a real acknowledgement of the time and effort that OYO has put into creating this really lovely, bullpen for, sorry, I feel you on that, is all I just want to say.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly.
We did long-term agreements before, didn't we?
Yeah, I think this 2-year agreement was just to get the ball rolling.
We did some, who did we do one with that was along,
OYO for
Was
the
it
concession
OYO?
stand.
yeah, we did, I know
Yeah,
we
we did the
long-
10-year, so
Yes,
typically
that-
OIO is in a 10-year agreement, and I understand what created with that agreement. It put it in alignment with
All the
our
other,
annual
yeah.
agreement
Correct,
that we have for Veterans Memorial Park. And obviously, we don't have any fear that we're going to be asked to leave Veterans
No.
Memorial Park. But, again, the building, the facility, a lot of things can happen. We can't control if the land is sold or something like that happened, and the building's going to be, but we can't control some things. But if it is an available building, we just want to make sure that we get a little bit more mileage for that investment.
When are you shooting for the ribbon cutting?
Yeah.
When are you shooting for the ribbon cutting ceremony?
Yeah.
When?
When? Mm-hmm. For the original or 10-year agreement?
No, when are you looking for the grand opening for the field
Oh,
house?
sorry, my fault, I missed the question. We're looking for the first week of January, because workouts begin that weekend, so we'd love to have something early in early January. We're not quite ready, we don't have the turf down, there's a lot
Sure.
of construction equipment.
Well, could we commit to making sure that we have that discussion on January 14th?
I personally would like that, because I really do. To me, that is something that just, given the longevity
Yep.
of the program and the amount of investment that you've put in the organization.
All right.
The parking lot and the gravel that you put in
Yes.
at Lee Road, where is that?
So from the parking lot, close to where the trail is, but not parallel, or maybe it's parallel, I guess, to where the trail is, we put a gravel road that 2 cars can go in and out at the same time, and takes you all the way back. So it's about, whatever that was.
300 feet?
yards or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 200 yards or something of that nature, all the way back, and then we created space around it where people could park close to the door. And we put some exterior lighting up so they will feel safe going in and out of the building as well.
And it's actually, I've seen folks, forget baseball a minute, but the folks park and take their dogs that way onto the walking trail
No, okay.
instead of trumping through mud.
Not
And
by the ball field at all. We left the ball
Yeah.
field area untouched. in case we want to do something with that, or somebody
Right.
wants to do
Okay,
something.
yeah, I was-
We did
I
it
was
closer to
following.
the
It'd be
trail.
easy, you could fence it if you needed.
Is gravel acceptable?
Temporarily.
Yeah, it is. We won't be able to plow it, but we'll maybe salt it and knock it down a little bit.
Hopefully it doesn't snow at all.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe tomorrow's the last snow we get, so.
Yeah.
we'll do what we can.
Wishful thinking.
Yep.
Fall Creek Little League, do they have leadership now?
I'm not aware of any. I'm gonna have to make a call to Virgil and see if what's going
I
on
think, I
there.
think we ought to get that process.
Well, like I said, like by March,
Well, I mean, for January.
well, yeah, that's a good
You know,
point,
it
yeah.
needs to be done
Headless
ASAP
horseman.
if-
Because we had when Eric transmitted that their agreement for that Lee Road facility had terminated, did anybody call or
No,
push back?
So, you know, maybe something could be done there for this year.
Well, that's kind of, like I said, that's what number one on the list should be. Yeah, needs to be used. Yep, needs to be
Where,
used.
you know, it's underutilized, and that's been one of my goals, is to get more things going there.
Yep. Well, that's been kind of, I don't care who the administration is to drive.
Would that be possible if we got moving here on that? Do you think something could happen? At Community Park?
Yes.
You think something could happen?
I think what we can certainly use it well. I mean, we have travel teams, we have rec league teams, both, that are asking for more
Space.
more space, more opportunities. Or we just had a huge debate, a friendly, very respectful debate as a board about how can we get more practice time versus more games. What do people want? And they want both. They really want both. And you know, when you're in a finite amount of space on 40 acres, you can only do so much when you have 1,050 kids, and plus another couple hundred travel kids or full-time travel kids. So if we could utilize that, I guarantee you that I'm not going to say every field every night, but we could have activity at that park every night by certain teams. I know my team particularly would love to have 2 to 3 practices a week, and we get one, and we're lucky because sometimes we get bumped for directly kids.
Yeah.
So we don't get anything, and then we're really hurting. We could maybe use a batting cage or something. So if the space was available, we would use it, I guarantee.
So I'd like to see that move forward quickly, if
Yep,
possible.
I'm right there with
And we
you.
would be very welcome to Fall Creek, being part of our league. Many of those ball players come over in the fall, and then they stay with us in the spring, actually. And then the second piece of it is we have 3 or 4 more open positions that are at-large positions on our board. If there are existing board members at Fall Creek that would like to be part of our board still, we'd love to have them.
So let's move on that if we possibly can.
Find out who leadership is and make a call and,
I'll call Virgil.
okay, got it.
He'll,
That sounds good.
He'll know
Have to
something.
NATO summit, but we'll make it happen, huh?
Yes, by God. Like I said, at NATO, it's been a Gorbachev and Reagan. Good luck. Can we go to Iceland for this?
Just
Just as a final
Yes.
comment for this evening is just to express our gratitude and just how important it is. Our gratitude is just overflowing in terms of what the Parks Board has done.
Thank you.
You guys have been an incredible part of our league, and and we recognize that what you've done has been a huge part. As Eric said, I don't know how many more years I have. I don't have a successor yet. I'm working hard to get one. But
Good luck.
this potentially could be my last Parks Board meeting, presenting as the president. My term would end up October 31st of next year, after 24 years on the board. But at this point, I don't have a successor, so I don't know what that means. But indeed it is, on behalf of all of us on the executive board, all 11 members, and all 67 members of the board, and all 2,000 players, or 1,385 from about 1,400 families, we want to talk to you. We want to show our appreciation for what you've done. And we have a little gift for each of you tonight.
Oh, my.
Oh,
Clean living paying off finally.
thank you.
bottle of bourbon. No,
Thank you.
for the new,
Thank you.
it's the new,
Do I have to declare this?
Festivus season.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'll read that tonight.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Real quick, anything, council folks? Anything? Don't fall and breaking your neck there. Wrap you up in bubble, shrink wrap. Anything else, council? Board?
We-
Oh,
Tom?
go ahead.
I just want to say that, YouTube, we were talking about how to get the word out. I thought back to when I was a kid and it was channel 6, 8, 13.
Yeah, Channel 4, it was clear out.
And now all the kids are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, and that's, go where they're at, you'll get plenty of kids, plenty of
Yep.
whatever you want to do.
Yep, you're exactly right.
For those younger generation, my generation was all my gray hair, I'm not good for that, so that's why we got younger board members. Connect with those folks.
You're not kidding.
One thing along the same lines, that getting the word out, I think we need to also make it clear to people that if they need financial assistance, that they can get financial
Yeah,
assistance in some way, because I think we got lots of kids out there that would like to play, but the parents say, I don't have any money to do this, and but the kids that like to play, so.
If someone were to do, for instance, video of the redevelopment of the facility, for instance, and you post it on YouTube, you can get a community buy-in with they interested in seeing what happens as the project develops. So it could also be an idea as well. They follow along with that.
Anything else?
Thank
Thank
you.
y'all.
Thank you.
Being none,
Holidays.
have a great, however you celebrate the end and the beginning of the year.